Welcome back, Algebra 1. We are going to continue working on factoring with the x method today. Today our constant will be positive. Our leading coefficient is still 1. However, you will notice that our middle term is going to be negative today. Before we get into this, remember that to multiply to a positive number, both factors must have the same sign. So they both need to be positive or they both need to be negative. So we need to factor these polynomials. Remember from yesterday that our answers will be two sets of parentheses. That's how we will write these as multiplication problems. We need to multiply our two numbers together to equal the constant on the end, and we need to add them together to equal the coefficient of the middle term. Notice that our coefficient in the middle is now negative. We're still multiplying to a positive number for our constant though. So let's set up our x. We are multiplying to a positive 15, but we are adding to a negative 8. Now on that last slide I put a reminder that in order to multiply to a positive we need to have the same sign. So this is something we touched on Monday. If we're trying to multiply to a positive number but add up to a negative number, both of our numbers need to be negative. So we could have negative 1 and negative 15. We could have negative 3 times negative 5. I won't even bother writing the positive options on there because two positives will not ever add up to a negative. I'm hoping you notice that negative 3 plus negative 5 would add up to negative 8. So when we write our answers in our parentheses, we are going to have x minus 3 and x minus 5. Because again, they were both negative numbers. Like I said at the end of the video yesterday, if you would rather write it as x minus 5 and then x minus 3, that's the same thing. It could be written either way. All right, let's move on to number 2. This time we are trying to multiply to positive 18 and add up to negative 9. So if you look at your factor sheet, that yellow sheet, it only lists the positive factors. However, since we're just changing the signs on both of them, you could imagine them all being negative factors instead. All right, looking through this list, we need the pair that's going to add up to a negative 9. That's going to be negative 3 and negative 6. Remember, your answer still needs to be written in those parentheses. Okay, you can think about this x set up as being showing your work, but this is our actual answer. Friendly reminder to write down any questions that you might have and send them to me either in a comment, an email, some way, so that I can answer those for you. All right, we again have 6 total examples today, so let's move on to 3 and 4. For number 3, we're trying to multiply to positive 20, add up to negative 9. So you might not need to write out the factors if you have that list handy to look at. Which one of these pairs is going to add up to a negative 9? Well, that would be negative 4 and negative 5. So x minus 4 times x minus 5. All right, on to number 4. we are trying to multiply to positive 100 and add up to negative 29. Now, if you know your two factors that are going to work right away, that's fine. You could just go ahead and fill them in. If you don't know, then reference your sheet. Think about our list of factors for 100. Five would work. 6 will not. 7 will not. 8 will not. 9 won't. 10 would. Okay, so we've got our whole list for 100, assuming both factors are negative. Which one of those adds up to negative 29? Well, that would be negative 4 and negative 25. So our answer, x minus 4 times x minus 25. All right, let's move on to our last two examples. On number 5, we are trying to multiply to positive 28 and add up to negative 29. So like all our other problems today, both of our factors need to be negative if we're going to multiply to a positive and add up to a negative. Okay, which one is going to add up to a negative 29? That would be negative 1 and negative 28. So x minus 1 times x minus 28. All right, problem number 6 might be the easiest one of the day. We are trying to multiply to positive 1 and add up to negative 2. Well, I made it pretty easy on you because there's only one factor pair for 1. It would be 1 times 1, or in this case, negative 1 times negative 1. And lucky for us, that would add up to negative 2. So x minus 1 times x minus 1. All right, go ahead, email me questions, comment with questions. I will answer them as soon as I can. Remember that I'll be on answering questions Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 1:30. I might try to get to some other questions outside of that time frame if I can. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, staying home, not going out and about. There will be a worksheet and a Google form if you're having questions about how to submit your answers, you're having issues with the worksheets or Google forms, you need to let me know that as well. All right, I will be back with you with another video tomorrow.